Glück auf YouTube und herzlich willkommen zu Cry of Fear, Kommentar der Entwickler, Schrägstrich Secret Hunting oder Secrets Hunting. So, wie wir schon gesehen haben, uns fehlen noch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Secrets. So, da werde ich jetzt einfach mal gucken. Cry of Fear. Unlockables. Let's see. Cry of Fear has 30 unlockables, increasing its replay value. Here's a list of the unlockables and where/how to get them. Secret room. It's unlocked after completing the game once. It is the first door on the left when you see the black silhouette walk away in the very beginning of the game. Ah! Also, there's a secret room at the beginning of Chapter 6 after the train crash. Search around the wrecked red car. It looks like a big iron trapdoor that leads to an old bunker. Oi! Okay. Ich würde sagen, ich fange auch schon mal an. Dran denken. Enable Developer Commentary und wir machen nochmal auf Easy. So, also wir haben gleich im ersten Kapitel. So, ich schätze mal, das Intro können wir nicht skippen. Oder? Oder? Nein, das... Oh, doch! Wir können das Intro skippen. Nicht Yo, nice! Wir können das Intro skippen, cool. Alright.
Hello, I am Andreas Rönnberg, also known as Rumpel, and I'm the level designer and leader for...
Hold on. First thing, audio. Enable EAX, enable A3D hardware. Och komm, Leute. Ernsthaft? Keine Untertitel für einen Entwicklerkommentar? Oder Kommentar der Entwickler? Fuck.
Cry of Fear. And in this map we added a camera sequence, and you may wonder why we added that. And that's because from the beginning we decided to have Cry of Fear as a simple mod. I mean, when I started the project, I wanted Cry of Fear to only be just a sick mod that I wanted to be really scary. And why you were taking photos was because Simon had like a psychosis or something, and he had killed his mother and went around taking photos of her. But we scrapped that later on, and we decided to just have this sequence to be a nice little thing, because having this sequence is scary because it makes you unable to know what will happen when you take photos. And I like that.
Alles schön und gut. Moment. But cannot hear any sound at all. Nee, das ist nicht das, was ich... How to fix subtitles. Asking to change the subtitles. I had a problem myself. Config. Ah, schön, es gibt für einen Kommentar der Entwickler offensichtlich keine Untertitel. Anyway. Ja, I hate you. Du mich auch.
Hello, I'm James, or Minwee, and I'm the programmer for Cry of Fear. This nightmare level is pretty interesting, although it's by no means technically sophisticated. Like the rest of your weapons, your camera is shooting out invisible bullets, so to speak. When the bullet hits a wall or other object, it will check all entities in its immediate radius. If it finds the invisible object we place over the crosses, it triggers the event it's tied to, such as making the writing that's scrawled on the wall appear, or a hanging body or whatever. It's a simple solution for quite an interesting map.
Okay, that's cool. Aber.
Beta testing this mod was more than I asked for during the final stages of development. First of all, because it was so amazing to actually play the mod and see how everything worked out and was still getting worked on. But also because the mod hates me. I had so much trouble getting it to work because of bugs and whatnot, and no matter how many times I tried, I couldn't get it to function properly. This, on most part, was user error by me. I failed to update properly and generally lack any experience towards coding. My point is that you players and fans, I hope, have no idea how lucky you are to play this final version of Cry of Fear. The work that Andreas, James, Georgie, Stig and Ainda has put down into this mod is nothing short of awesome.
Ja, das kann ich mir schon vorstellen, dass Modding nicht einfach ist, vor allem wenn man mit der Gold Source arbeiten muss. Das kann ich mir schon durchaus vorstellen.
Hi, this is Stig, aka Dragonnor speaking, and I voice act Simon in Cry of Fear.
Hey!
Being a voice actor for Cry of Fear has been quite a journey, and I mean that literally. Cry of Fear was one of my first projects as a voice actor, and when I started working on the mod, my experience was somewhat iffy. Since there's a lot more work involved in switching out the lines in a choreographed cutscene than just switching out the audio, you'll notice a very distinct difference between the first scenes, which were also the first lines I got to work on when I joined, and the later ones when it comes to acting technique, as they're literally years apart in acting experience. But at the same time, it sounds like Simon goes from being somewhat naive to becoming more hardened as the game progresses, which makes for good character development.
Oh. Sup, my dude? Alright.
Where am I?
How did I get here?
Alright. Chapter 1, Lost in a City. Und auch wenn erst jetzt Kapitel 1 beginnt, sagen wir es mal so, ich zähle das Intro trotzdem mit. Ich zähle das Intro trotzdem mit zu Kapitel 1. Weil sonst, ja, das wird sonst früher. Ja, Tab, Inventory. Grüß dich.
This is the start map, and it was the first map to Cry of Fear that was ever created. From the beginning it was just using simple looking Half-Life textures with very low resolution. And later on I went to my capital city, Stockholm, where I went around taking photos and made my own custom textures to make it look really like Stockholm and have a really photorealistic look. Then later on I wanted to make the windows in the buildings to have their lights on, and I wanted to have people standing there and watching you, but I never added it because I didn't want to confuse the players too much in the beginning. I wanted it to stay kinda simple in the beginning, not have too much shit appearing.
Oh, ich habe gerade nicht zugehört. Okay, ich habe gerade noch ein bisschen auf der Fanwiki gelesen. Also laut Fanwiki die erste Tür links, wenn du die schwarze... Genau. Genau. Hey! Yo! Sup, my dudes?
Very early on in development, we decided we wanted to have extensive unlockables. Somebody came up with the idea of custom hoodies, and this presented a problem to us. There are so many instances of the Simon model spread out across the models folder that it would be almost impossible to go through every single model and replace it with a different hoodie version each time. I came up with a simple solution of replacing every single instance of Simon's hoodie texture loaded into any kind of model with an external TGA texture. In this way we can have many combinations of clothes without using multiple models.
Okay, hier haben wir das Päckchen. Looks like some kind of package. Something is written on it. What the... It's addressed to me? Simon Henriksen. Should I take it? You got a weird package. Weird package. I don't know what I should do with this. Das müssen wir bis zur Harbor Road mit uns rumtragen. ModDB Hoodie. Afraid of Monster Suit. Six Simon Suit. Das gefällt mir eigentlich am meisten, weil er wenigstens schon mal ein bisschen Bart hat. Aber der Afraid of Monster hat eine Kamu-Hose. Also nehme ich den. Gut, das ist der Secret Room. Jetzt haben wir das Package. Ich lese mich erstmal kurz weiter durch die Cryo 4 Wiki. The fifth page is found after escaping the crashed train in chapter 6. Go to the end of the bridge. On the right hand side there will be a red broken car with a door behind it. Pages on the left of the door. It explains how to unlock the secret weapons. Outfits. Alright. Also die Buchseiten werden wir jetzt erstmal keine weiterfinden, das dauert. Outfits. Different outfits can be unlocked in the form of hoodies, full body reskins by finding the hoodies in game or meeting certain criteria afterwards. They can be accessed in a wardrobe or in one of the secret rooms. Half-Life Creations hoodie can be picked up in a room at the apartments in chapter 1. It can be picked up in a room. Ja, schön. Wo? Six Simon Hoodie Hammer. Hello Kitty Hoodie. Press the use key on the dead cat in the... Oh. Das ist ein bisschen makaber. 5 times, aha. David Letterhoff Hoodie. Beat the game with ending 5. Das werden wir wohl hoffentlich in diesem Durchlauf schaffen. Twitcher Hoodie. Obtained by killing a Twitcher with David Letterhoff's axe in the Heaven Level. Was ist das Heaven Level? Und was ist ein Twitcher? Und wo kriege ich David Letterhoff's Axt her? ModDB Hoodie haben wir. Afraid of Monsters Hoodie haben wir auch. Kamu Hoodie. Beat the game with ending 2. Oh, scheiße. Wir werden offensichtlich hier alle Unlockables kriegen. Black Metal Hoodie. Beat the game with ending 1. Awesome Hoodie. Watch every ending at least once. Team Psy Color Hoodie. Beat the game with ending 3. Custom Hoodie. Unlock all the other clothing. Must complete game again after unlocking. Ach du Scheiße. Half-Life Creations Hoodie. Also da müssen wir in der Apartments uns genauer umgucken. David Letterhoff Hoodie. Gibt es dazu irgendwas genaueres? Ja, das funktioniert da super. Okay, lasst mich mal kurz was suchen. Beziehungsweise ich pausiere mal kurz die Ja, ich pausiere kurz die Aufnahme. Okay, ich habe mich mal ein kleines bisschen belesen. Für den Half-Life Hoodie müssen wir wahrscheinlich einfach die Apartments relativ genau absuchen. Der Hello Kitty Hoodie, da muss ich dran denken, aber Kapitel 4 dürfte diese Aufnahmesession noch betreffen. Die David Letterhoff Axt werden wir wahrscheinlich, beziehungsweise den entsprechenden Twitcher Hoodie werden wir wahrscheinlich nicht bekommen, weil dafür muss ich das... Wie war das gleich? Ja, dafür müssen wir erstmal das Päckchen in der Harbor Road abliefern. Dann das Spiel komplett bis zum Finale. Ich weiß nicht, was dieses Heaven-Level ist. Ja, und die entsprechenden verschiedenen Endings geschenkt. Weapons. These weapons are overpowered / joke. Weapons not intended to be in the game for serious play and can be unlocked by finding specific items in the game or meeting certain criteria upon single player or campaign. Camera. Unlocked by beating the game in under 2.5 hours. Patch 1.2 corrected a glitch that the player might obtain the camera without meeting the... Simon's book. Unlocked by beating the game in nightmare mode and acquiring an S rank. The Farmers. Unlocked by beating the game with any ending ranking in nightmare mode. David Letterhoff's X in heaven. Go to the door that requires a code to enter. The same ones used in Afraid of Monsters DC. Okay, die Waffen werden wir wahrscheinlich nicht kriegen. There are other things that can be unlocked by doing certain things in-game or achieving a certain rank or ending. Any items in this category can also be found in secret rooms. Nightmare Mode, Doctor Mode, Hidden Package, Gas Mask, Item unlocked by beating Doctor Mode. Aha. Also, ja, großartig Secret Hunting wird es wahrscheinlich doch nicht werden. Wenn ich das jetzt richtig verstanden habe, können wir ein paar Buchseiten finden. Aber das erste, wonach wir uns umgucken müssen, ist der Half-Life Creations Hoodie und das ist in der Apartments. Alles klar, aber ich meine, es ist ja eigentlich auch Developer Commentary.
This Padlock Puzzle is one of my favourites in the mod because it's so intricate. It relies on many variables. As you may have noticed, the number is actually randomly generated from 11111 1111, to 9999. So that means you can't just play through the mod and then remember what the previous combination was next time you play through. As you well know, this puzzle relies on a couple of things: gathering the username and the password, which aren't quite randomly generated, but the username and password is picked from 32 different usernames and 32 different passwords, and they can be combined. Again, so you can't just play through the mod and do the puzzles without, actually properly doing it. We decided to do this because it's just the kind of... We want people to see what we've made. We don't like the idea of people just running through the mod remembering what the solutions are. We want people to actually see what we've done, especially Rumpel's work on the churchyard area where you get the username and password. It's very, very good mapping. We want people to experience it.
Okay, das will ich jetzt mal kurz ausprobieren. Moment. Graph hier, das müsste ja, glaube ich... Ja, ich glaube, das war in der ersten Folge. Glück auf! Moment. Hold on. Okay, 6754 sagt er hier. 6754. Das will ich mal ausprobieren, ob das jetzt 6, 7, 5, 4. Tatsache. Cool. Cool. Das ist natürlich genial. Dass die sich da haben sowas einfallen lassen, dass dass da Code fürs Padlock zufallsgeneriert wird.
This map was from the beginning made by James Minwee, and it was intended to be a secondary route to the apartments. But we scrapped that because the map was never finished. So, and we also thought that it was unnecessary to have 2 routes, and it would take too much of our time to make it. So I decided to extend the map instead and add this little small town that you run to with those small streets. And that part is actually a replica of a town in Stockholm called Gamla Stan. And also the square in this town is a replica as well. And it's called Stortorget. And the church there is called Storkyrkan. And actually those sounds from the clock sounds from Storkyrkan in the Cry of Fear is real sounds from Storkyrkan in real life. And I head there only to record those sounds. That's how dedicated I am to this mod.
Okay, das ist cool. Das ist cool. Aber, ich meine, wenn wir jetzt immer im Kommentar der Entwickler sind, ja, richtig schreiben bitte. Hey. Hä? Gab's No-Clip damals noch nicht in der alten Source Engine oder was? Fuck. Gut. Warte, ich stell's wieder zurück. Schade. Ja. Oh! Alles klar, das ist das, was ich im Let's Play verpasst habe. Fuck off, hier sieht man Saw. So viel zu dem Thema. Ich dachte, ich kenne jetzt alle Jumpscares schon. Ja, ich hab's doch gerade erst durchgespielt. Bla bla bla. Alter, halt die Fresse. Halt die Fresse. Okay, das erste Secret war wirklich nur in der... Da gab's... Nee. Nee, stimmt. Die... Outfits. After finishing the game, second page is found on the blue van at Saxon Avenue. Third page is found Forest. Fourth page, das die Hammer schon. Die 5. ist in Kapitel 6. Radio.
You'll notice that all of the notes you can read in the mod come up as fully bright models, and the reason for this is because there's a lot of kind of clutter in the mod. There's a lot of random papers scattered around, newspapers, bits of scrap and all that kind of thing. So to help players to easily identify what you can and can't read, we made the notes, just like the weapons, come up as full bright.
Ja, es ist teilweise... Oh, tatsächlich. Jill und David. Es ist teilweise sehr schwierig zu verstehen, was sie sagen. Excelsior. Weil einerseits die Mikrofonqualität von den meisten nicht so toll ist. Und andererseits, ja... Oh, by the way, das ist auch so was ich mir beim Render gedacht habe, warum gehst du nicht mal hier hinter, aber hier ist er zu. Ja, und ohne Untertitel. Tatsache. 85, 46. Ah. Just try, it's not going to work. Radio. Okay. Aber wo zur Hölle habe ich in den Apartments einen Hoodie übersehen? Ich meine, ich habe mich ja schon relativ genau umgeguckt. Mercy. Wäre natürlich auch praktisch, wenn sich die Kommentare, die Sprechblasen aufhören würden zu drehen, nachdem er sie what? Einmal aktiviert hat. 85, 46. Krass. Right. Zack. Oh, die Tür hier. Ah, du bist es. Schön, man kann die Katze jetzt überspringen. Finde ich gut. Thoughts and Experiences hier. Oh, hey. Unsere alten Spielstände sind noch da. Überschreiben wir mal einen Forest Tour.
What the hell? Who was he? I gotta call police.
Ah ja, stimmt, von hier kommen wir.
I'm actually very proud of the work I've done with the ladders in Cryophere. This was actually added very late in development, probably later than it should have been because it's quite a lot of work. This was after we started working with model-based cutscene cameras. If anyone's familiar with Half-Life mapping, they'll know that normally you have to use normal Half-Life entities and special objects that the camera will move to and from. That's very annoying to work with, and you don't really get a good representation or idea of what the finished product will look like until you've compiled the map and tested, etc, etc. So I developed a system whereby you animate the camera in 3ds Max and you see what's happening in the viewport there. You export the map to a DXF, import it into 3ds Max, and then you can fly the camera around as much as you like. Using this technology, I realised after looking at how shitty the ladder system is in Half-Life, where you just slide up and down, I decided I want to improve it by having a animated one. So I knocked up a quick animation, which actually ended up being used as the final thing with a few tweaks. And this was actually inspired by Turok 2, which I played years and years and years ago, and that had a ladder system similar to that, whereby the screen would kind of shake around as if you were climbing up, and I was very impressed by that back at the time, and I just thought, why not?
Ja, also die Leiteranimation hier, die ist schon wirklich gut gemacht. Muss ich auch zugeben, besser wie in Half-Life. Mistvieh. Rightio. Ich denke, ich werde auch den Kommentar der Entwickler hier Kirkwil überschreiben. In einem Rutsch durchziehen. Weil das hier ein bisschen blöd ist mit dem Speichern. Ui! Da war ja noch so ein Mistvieh, verdammt. Ja, man sollte sich nicht zu selbstsicher hier bewegen. Right. Help me. Okay. Yep. Here we go again. Fourth floor. Ja, grüß dich.
This is the apartments map, and it's also one of the very first maps that was ever created. And the funny thing with this map is that it's also a replica from a structure in real life. It's the building where my dad lives, and I think it's very cool to be there in real life and run around and play like if you were Simon. And I think it's pretty cool, and it looks exactly like the building where my dad lives.
Okay, das ist natürlich auch ein kleines bisschen makaber. Oder dieses Horror-Apartment hier nach dem Apartment-Block designt hat, wo sein Vater lebt. So, Home überschreiben. Okay, hier in die Räume müssen wir uns ein bisschen genauer umgucken. Weil ich nämlich keinen Plan habe in... Was hast du für eine verschissene Reichweite, du elendes Müllsackkind? Ich nämlich keinen Plan habe, in welchen Raum wir hier den Hoodie aufsammeln können. Pah, das ist natürlich... Rüber. Zack. Zumal die Hoodies ja eigentlich auch halbwegs auffallen, bin ich der Meinung. Ja, ich klicke den DVD-Player an, The Door Won't Budge. Das ist natürlich auch wieder schön, dass da kein Picked Up in Apartment in Chapter 1. Ja, kann man das nicht genauer beschreiben? Seems like it's locked from the other side. Okay, wir müssen also... Na, warte mal, nicht... Also was steht hier? Can picked up in a room at the apartments. In a room. Schön. In einem Raum. Ja. In einem Wohnraum. Oder wo? Guck, jetzt liegt hier eine Spritze. Grüß dich. Natürlich. Ja, das Mistvieh erwischt mich natürlich, aber ich... Sicher. Okay. Fuck off. Wo zur Hölle? Ich will mich jetzt auch nicht zu sehr auf den Hoodie versteifen. Wenn wir ihn nicht kriegen, kriegen wir ihn halt nicht. Ganz ehrlich, shit happens.
Well, this puzzle may seem pretty easy in that it tells you exactly where to use the key. Keep in mind that it's the first introduction to puzzles in the mod. So, originally we didn't intend the key to have a tag at all, so you had to kind of work out through trial and error as to where the key should be used, but this wasn't really fun, as there's so many doors in the mod and no real way to check which ones you have or haven't used apart from memory. Therefore this was pretty much the best solution.
Okay. Fuck off. So. So, door's locked. Die Frage ist ja eben halt auch, ist der Hoodie irgendwo versteckt? Oder liegt er irgendwo offen, so wie die anderen Hoodies? Liegt er irgendwo unten drunter? Ah, yes.
You'll notice that we actually notify you that there's something in the ceiling. The reason being for this is simply that when playtesters tested the mod, often they didn't actually notice the gun in the ceiling.
Ja gut, wenn du hier so reinkommst. Ich denke, da ist das letzte, wo du hinguckst, die Decke. So, wo ist der Hoodie? Wo ist der gottverdammte verschissene Hoodie? Ich habe keinen Plan. Ich habe fast die Befürchtung, dass wir ihn nicht finden. Sicher. Es ist natürlich wieder diese ultra präzise Beschreibung in a room. Ja, es gibt ja zum Glück nur gefühlt 500 Räume hier in diesem Apartment. Das hätten sie wirklich ein bisschen genauer beschreiben können. Wohl Köppe. Ja, halt die Fresse. Ah, das stimmt, das war ja hier. HLC, Mann, bin ich blind? Ah, gut. Okay, damit hat man den Hoodie gefunden. Schon mal viel wert. Forest Zur überschreiben, gut. Hoodie. Dann wäre das nächste. Aber komm vorher an das Saxon Avenue. Warte mal. Bookpage. Saxon Avenue. Under a blue van in Saxon Avenue. Das ist die... Das ist die Buchseite, die wir unter Saxon Avenue finden können. So, im Grunde genommen gibt es jetzt in die Apartments nichts mehr, was wir finden könnten.
Here's the guy who had SMS'd you from the beginning, from the construction thing, where when you enter the apartments you get SMSs like, help me, blah blah blah. And the guy who lies in the bathtub, he's the one who SMS'd you, because he has a mobile lying in the water. And it's pretty easy to miss it, but it's him who is SMSing you. And I from the beginning wanted to have victims who are trying to give you objectives, like this guy in the beginning of the apartments. He wants you to help him, but then he commits suicide. And that was the main plot for Cry of Fear in the beginning, where you are getting objectives from people who are committing suicide, and at the end you were committing suicide yourself. And we wanted to keep that, but we changed that when we got a voice actor for Sophie, and we really didn't make only suicides. We wanted to have a guy committing suicide in the subway station, but we scrapped that, and in the forest and etc. But we scrapped that suicide idea. And yeah, and after every suicide, things started to happen, like in those apartments where everything gets sick and shit.
Okay.
Hi, this is Stig, aka Dragonnor speaking, and I voice act Simon in Cry of Fear. You might notice that Simon doesn't really react to all the blood smeared all over the bathtub in the cutscene. And the reason for that is that in the initial versions of the cutscene, there was no blood. The guy in the tub only had the pill overdose, which made it more realistic for Simon to sound like he was confused about the guy overdosing on pills before he got there, but not downright disgusted at what he was seeing.
Ah, okay. Ja, gut. Macht Sinn. Da hat angeblich ein Handy irgendwo hier mit im Wasser liegen. Sehe ich aber nicht. Ah, fuck. Inventory vor. Ah, stimmt, wir haben jetzt dieses verschissene Päckchen. Ich sag mal so, ich werde jetzt auch früher den Nightstick weglegen. Weil... ja, wie gesagt, ich weiß ja jetzt ungefähr, wie ich das Waffenmanagement machen muss. Und von daher, ja. You fucking kidding me? Ich hab doch gerade nachgeladen, Alter. Habe ich nicht lange genug gewartet, oder was hast du für ein Problem?
those metallic bars are supposed to be like barriers or something that the monsters have placed. And we wanted the players to think it was monsters who has like blocked you in and wanted to kill you. Also that the boards, the wooden boards blocking the doors are also that. And that's what's happening right after the bathtub scene, where you hear something hammering. And it was supposed to make the player think that monsters has trapped you. At that time, players don't know that everything was written in a book. We wanted the player to think that everything was kind of like a virus outbreak where people got insane or something. And then we wanted the player to think that maybe a gas, like the doctor is wearing a gas mask, and that we wanted to make the players think that maybe a gas was making people hallucinate and stuff, and making people crazy. But yeah, so that's the idea behind those bars and wooden boards blocking your way.
Okay. Oh, why not? So where do I go from here? Reach the basement. Das war das erste Mal, dass mich so einer erwischt hat, ja. Reach the basement. Ich muss auch ehrlich zugeben, ich laufe jetzt relativ...
In the beginning of the project, we didn't have tiles in this place here in the apartments. We only had water being there, or maybe not even water, because we wanted it to be realistic and really make the players feel like the monsters was trapping you. Before, the monsters looked more normal and less fucked up, but after we had played Afraid of Monsters again, we really liked the sick things that was happening in Afraid of Monsters, and that's why we added the tiles and like the room in the apartments where everything has like got a gravity at 90 degrees at the walls. We added that after on, just because to make it a bit more sick. So yeah, that's why it has tiles everywhere. The tiles has just appeared for some reason, but it's nice and makes you scared, I think.
Okay. Also ich habe Afraid of Monsters habe ich bis jetzt weder gesehen noch gespielt. Fuck off. Aber... ja, weiß ich nicht. Hey, Mistvieh. So, hier oben war noch ein Magazin. Halt die Fresse. Stimmt, die alte spawnt ja hinterher. Stimmt, ja. Kapitel sind aber der Wagen ganz schön lang, muss ich sagen. Das war das im Let's Play, ne? Sind mir ja vorne bei der ersten alten die Kugeln ausgegangen und da bin ich ja hier so zurückgegangen und da hat er hier ja trotzdem Schaden gekriegt. Ich bin davon ausgegangen, dass er sich mit dem Messer ritzt. Nein, die Alte hat mich attackiert. Also wenn man keine Kugeln mehr im Magazin hat, hat man ja eigentlich relativ Glück bei die. Suizid-Horror, alten, was auch immer, wie man die nennt. Oh, es kotzt mich an. Du hast 2 Sekunden. Du hast 2 Sekunden zu früh die Waffen wieder gewechselt. Jetzt ist das Magazin trotzdem leer, obwohl du schon eine volles drin hast. Halt doch die Fresse.
A pretty cool thing with this torture room is that the guy who is killing the other guy is actually my sister's husband, I mean. And the guy who gets killed is my brother, my older brother. And it's pretty funny to watch them fight like that. The photos that the textures are made of are photos from them. And yeah, I'd just like to tell you that.
Okay. Alles klar. Ich habe keine weiteren Fragen. Storage Tunnel überschreiben. Alter, das erste Kapitel, das Video ist jetzt knapp 40 Minuten lang. Dann kommt ja noch die Viertelstunde vorne ran. Wo wir erst bis zu dem ersten Geheimraum gekommen sind. So, scheiße, wo war die Bude von dem Kinderschänder? Das ist die erste Etage? Ja, stimmt, das war hier. $97,99. Den Code haben sie auch geändert.
I think this puzzle is pretty nice and it gives players a kind of overall goal in what to do in the apartment, and that's unlock the elevator in the main stairwell. And whilst it isn't entirely obvious at first, there are a few subtle hints that we give to you to kind of guide you in this direction. One of them being the light above the keypad on the top floor in the total darkness, that should draw you towards that. The second one being the note where it mentions that he's disabled the elevators so the kids have to come up the stairs. The puzzle, the key code rather, is actually randomly generated, and the reason we did this was because we didn't want people just simply skipping out all the nice areas that have been mapped out next time they play, if they just remember the code.
Ja, ist praktisch wie bei dem Keypad. 97,99. Ja, schön. Dabei.
Now this is a interesting place. Those stairs, never-ending stairs. We added that for a reason to make the player really think it's not happening for real, that it's all really just a hallucination or just a psychotic moment, psychosis I mean. So yeah, those stairs are supposed to be there just to make it seem unrealistic, and that's a bit good, because then we have a reason to add a strange boss coming over there.
Okay. Okay, wir sind jetzt zwischen meinen neuen Magazinen. Nett. Das ist, glaube ich, mehr wie im ersten Durchlauf. 10 Magazine, jetzt ist es definitiv mehr wie im ersten Durchlauf. You got to be fucking kidding me. Okay. 10 Magazine ist die Obergrenze. Alright. So, Store überschreiben.
Another way that this mod differs from Afraid of Monsters is that each area is now punctuated by a boss fight, and this marks a milestone in your progress. The reason we added bosses is purely because, well, we like boss fights. They all have some kind of strategy to them, and this is the simple find the weak spot and attack it. The boss bars weren't added until later on in the development, simply because we wanted a way to visually show whether or not you're actually doing any damage to the boss, which kind of corresponds to the whole weak spot idea. It's nice to know when you're actually making progress with the boss.
Ja, ganz ehrlich, Bossfights und so weiter. Gut. Verdammt. Spasiba. Alright, das war Kapitel 1 mit fast einer Stunde. Oder sind wir ja relativ schnell durchgekommen. Alles klar, dann sehen wir uns in Kapitel 2 wieder. Bis dahin.